Okay, welcome back everyone to another edition of, you guessed it, UFTA Premium. And it's been a while since we added to this particular video series, um, but there have been some serious creative developments in the meantime. So I just want to run that by you, and we're probably going to do a full game walkthrough with the demonstration of maybe some of the new bells and whistles that we did add. So, uh, what are those? Well, if you're familiar with UPTA Advanced, everything I've taught so far, the additions have to do with what happens on die roll 6. Die roll 6 is our favorite. It's the sabotage, double sabotage opportunity. Well, now it's going to expand. There's other actions available, and they are collectively known as sneak and chisel actions. Okay, they're no different than regular actions, and they're really kind of in the same family as what happens on sabotage and double sabotage, because each of them also has an occupation, right? So the different occupations on die roll 6 are, the first one is the crone, the ghastly crone. That's just a witch or hag. And what she does is she tricks or treats you. And this is a very special scenario I'm really proud of. Basically what she does is, if you have a card, let's say it's turned like this, or if you have, for instance, another card like this, let's say, all right. So if you have a card that's been it's no longer, it's not hidden, it's active, but it's available to view, then a witch can cast a trick or treat spell on it. And what that does is it takes the card. Let's say in this case, let's see, it's Flea Beetle's attack, right? It's an old standby, and it says remove 2 crops from the field. Well, in that particular case, if the spell has been cast on it by the hag on die roll 6, then what you do is you actually do the opposite of what it says, and that is an extremely empowering sort of spell to cast, right? Because now you have to think almost in complete literally have to think in complete opposites of what you're used to. And for everyone, that's not always easy, so there might be a little bit of a learning curve there. But once you get used to it, yes, it expands the scope of the cards quite a bit. So I like E. You should like E too. So anyway, that's what's going to happen. So in this particular case, once the spell has been cast, what's going to happen is you're going to take the card, and then however it was oriented before, you're going to turn it and flip it to the opposite. So that's how we know what it is. Like, say for instance, if you're looking at the discard pile, they're always faced this way, consistent with the rest of the game in English, left to right, top to bottom. And what happens is, if you play that card, then we just simply turn it like this, so that we know, aha, that particular card has been turned around. A nasty spell has been cast on it, and it's going to do the opposite effect to the owner. So whatever it says on the card, just do the opposite. Okay, so that's that. That in itself is a topic that will just open up reams of new realms to explore. I could probably never get to it. It's an endless cascade and waterfall of possibilities, right? Okay, so there's that. That's the hag. Now, the other thing that you're already familiar with is the gremlin, because the gremlin reaps havoc on your cards. That's sabotage. Okay, so you're already familiar with single and double sabotage. However, there's nuances now with with that particular aspect of gameplay, because it's going to now have the capacity to um, return or remove items, okay? So like before, all you could do was you could only remove something via sabotage. And when you removed it, let's say, our typical example, I have a crop, and then, somebody plays die roll 6 on me and they sabotage. The gremlin comes over and wreaks havoc, causes mayhem, and what happens is that broccoli would normally be removed, right? Well, now there's an additional option. If you happen to be attacking and you want to do this, you could also choose not to remove it, but to return it to the previous state that it was in, okay? And that kind of corresponds to what's already on the adversity cards, That's how they already operate, right? They have return punishments and remove punishments. And so, since that's consistent, it should be pretty easy to handle. Okay, now we also have the occupation of a spy. And the spy is the person who sneaks a peek. And what does that entail? Sneaking a peek is pretty simple. It just means that if a grower has any particular assets that are hidden, you can use die roll 6 as an action to sneak a peek at it. And that's all that it is. You don't go beyond that. So here it is, somebody's going to sneak a peek on me. They get to, I say, okay. I show them the card. All right? But in this particular case, the card isn't revealed to everyone in the game. It's only going to be revealed to the person who's bringing the sneak a peek, right? The attacking grower. So that's something important to bear in mind. Okay, so that's going to happen with frequency. That's a really cool idea. You can probably use your imagination, figure out how cool that is. Now, the next possibility is the raid, okay? And what raids? Well, that'd be a soldier, of course. Soldier in the army raids, and there's special stipulations when it comes to raiding. It's also, included as it's technically a chisel action. The raid is. Anything that's sneaky is trick or treat and sneak a peek, and then anything that chisels away at the defense, you're chipping away. You're chipping away at their armor, right? Something like that. Well, that's going to involve chiseling, and so a raid is a chisel. It belongs in the same category as a sabotage, with the grip. Okay, so the raiding soldier comes, and he or she is going to go ahead and raid your item. They can choose one item. Doesn't matter if it's hidden or not. Doesn't matter. If it's, of course, protected by marker tokens, the marker token is going to go instead, in place of the item, just like it normally would. And so that's something you very much need to bear in mind, right? Because you're talking about a huge swing in someone else's favor if they can take something and not simply remove it, but make it their own. And that's essentially what raiding is. But there's a strong stipulation that comes with that, and the stipulation is, in order to perform a raid, you first have to have an adversity card on your farm. And it doesn't matter to me if it's active, inactive, if it's face up, face down, right? Doesn't matter. As long as you have one card represented on your field, that gives the go-ahead so that you can go ahead and play the card. Conduct a raid, and the raid will remove one item only, from any grower's farm. So that's another extremely powerful opportunity and choice on die roll 6, right? Because now you're talking about myriad opportunities, myriad ways to maybe wreak some havoc, go on defense, and try to erode some of the progress of your fellow growers, right? Okay, so that's a cool feature of the game. There's one more occupation. Oh, no, that's right. We've got return and remove. We've got raid, sneak a peek, and trick or treat. Yeah. Okay, so there's 5 options total. 5 total options on die roll 6. So that's something to definitely keep in your on the foreground of your thinking when you're doing some deep, heavy thinking in UFTA. Okay, so that's how that's going to happen. And now to demonstrate all of this, we're going to go ahead and start the game. There is one other minor additional detail which probably won't come up during gameplay, but is crucially important, and it has to do with this thing here. This is a big game changer piece in UFTA, you know. Anyone can tell you, like, man, if we just had a little more help, we could get more done, right? Well, this is the kind of thing that does it. It'll put you over the top. It's a pretty powerful piece. There's no hiding that fact. But considering its tremendous power, what we're doing is we're going to say the farm crew can only be purchased if you have a security deposit of 10 tokens. Security deposit of 10 tokens on your farm. Okay, so basically, it essentially means the farm crew is worth 55 tokens, which is not that big a deal. However, another stipulation, another rule, is that you have to make sure that the 10 token amount is on your farm when you actually use the farm crew. Like, if you don't have that backup 10 token security amount, what's going to happen is the farm crew is idle. You can't use them in any fashion. So you absolutely must make sure you have always 10 tokens in reserve, a bare minimum, to activate that farm crew. Okay, very important point to bear in mind. Okay, so now we're just going to go ahead. We're going to do a small demonstration. Maybe you see some of those updated Snoodle activities. I'm sorry, updated actions on die roll 6, and we'll see where it takes us. Actually, I think at this point we'll just all include this in one video. We're also going to talk about snoodling. Snoodling you're already familiar with. That's when you guess items from somebody else's, their hidden assets. You try to guess them, and if you're successful, you get to have some tokens removed from your debt. Or no, I said that wrong. No, the benefit is you actually, this is the part that's new, so forgive me if I fumble around a little bit. The benefit of snoodling is that you get an activity, okay? Snoodling is really just short for single noodling. It's a snoodle, okay? And it just means there's one. So naturally, if there's 2, if you want to do 2 snoodles, that's a doodle. 3 is a troodle, and 4 is a super awesome quadruple. Okay, so you got snoodle, doodle, troodle, quadruple. Okay. Now, bearing all that in mind, what does that give me again? Well, in each case, you know, if I, for instance, did a quadruple, that means 4. That means I get 4 activities for free on that in-between turn, the in-between trading phase. You know, we have trading and snoodling. That happens in that in-between rounds phase. Well, that means I get to do these 4 activities that I just won via the quadruple, and I can use them in any fashion I wish. Regular rules regarding actions and activities apply. However, there's one extra wrinkle, and that is that 2 activities are worth 1 action. Okay, that's not stipulated anywhere else in the game, so that's an important point to bear in mind. Okay, so what we're talking about is just a huge range of options open up on that front too, right? Because now you can expedite your game, maybe take advantage of opportunities before it's on your turn, which is, you know, that can make the difference in a very close game. Most UFTA games are extremely nail-bitingly close, so that's something to bear in mind. Okay, so now we're at that point where I think we're set. I've given you enough new information, and we'll see how it plays out. Okay, so here we go. We're just going to skip the fancy, or I mean the safe start. We'll just say we're somewhere slightly past the beginning, so we're in the middle game. Somewhere in the middle game. Okay. So here we go. 6 is productive. 6 is productive. I don't know what to do. Or yeah, 6 is our sabotage opportunity. Okay. So it used to be a sabotage opportunity. Now the game opens up and I have many different possibilities. I look at this card first, which we already saw in the example. Do I want to keep this card? Right? I could do that because, you know, check it out. I do have a card that's turned over, which means I can take advantage and I can go ahead and use my soldier to raid this card. Moreover, since it's die roll 6 and it's past the first round of gameplay, it also means that 2 actions are available to go on the attack. And that's all going to be governed and determined by the token that you get for it. It's a Snoodle token. It operates just the same as this bad boy right here. Right? It's supposed to be gambled and haven't gambled. Just haven't done there. Okay, so you've got gambled, haven't gambled, you've got snoodled and haven't snoodled, right? So what are we going to do? We take a look at this. I could sabotage both opponents, right? What you can't do, however, is, you know, the rule regarding same actions and same activities still applies. So I can't raid 2 people, right? I have to be cagey, savvy, and wise because I have to figure this out and make sure I distribute the punishments according to what the game parameters allow, right? So, I don't know, in this particular case, there's nothing going on, so I'm just going to take this card. I'm going to use both actions. I'm going to take this card, raid it first. It doesn't. Notice how there's doesn't matter order of operations. Doesn't matter which action you do first. It's going to be a first come first serve. It doesn't matter. You can do them in any order that you wish, as long as there's 2 actions. The first action is going to be a raid, and then the second action is going to be a reveal. I'm gonna trot out my ghastly crone, that witch over there, and she's going to take care of this. And she's going to cast a magic spell, and instead of remove 2 crops, it's going to be the opposite. It's going to be add 2 crops to the fields. Okay, so notice that it's still, you know, I bought the card, and that's all I can do. Well, can I? Actually, you can play the card. Playing the card's, of course, an activity, right? And, you know, I haven't done the activity of playing a card. That's that checklist that you order procedural operations that you have to kind of have always sort of at the forefront of your thinking. I'm going to keep the card and I'm going to play it on myself. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. Like right now, I did everything with the card to get it. Now I'm returning it and I'm playing it on me as instead of remove 2 crops, I'm going to add 2 crops. Okay, and you know, if I'm going to do that, you kind of have to respect the rules of can you even do that in the first place, right? It assumes that you have field space, so let's say we did have field space. Important point to bear in mind, right? Even if you set yourself up for advantages, you got to make sure that you're in line with the other regulations, right? Everything else. Otherwise, you could be working really hard, giving away actions for no reason, right? I mean, it's no benefit to you because of maybe certain rules violations. So that's no good. Okay, so that's, you know, that in itself just provides an amazing example of just how dynamic and fluid and varied our gameplay now becomes, right? I mean, I don't want to be the person who has to count the permutations in UFTA because it may fill up universes. I don't know. I hope not. which is another reason, by the way, why I'm not making it available until we figure out, maybe how to be more eco-friendly, because nobody needs more games unless it biodegrades quickly, right? That's why I'm exploring digital alternatives, right? I'm not that savvy about that kind of stuff. It's a very involved, complex, and sometimes frightening technical juggernaut to understand some of that stuff. Well, I don't have the expertise in all those fields, but I do think I have a solid product. So anyway, we'll see what the future does with that stuff. So they're going to gamble. Let's see, nothing changed on Daro 2. Okay. At this point, I think we should also talk about fender doodles. Previously, in other videos, the concept was they were called mushroom tokens, right? Because they're shaped like mushrooms. Well, they're not going to be red. They're going to be lime green, if I can get things straight with manufacturers, suppliers. But the fender doodles are super awesome, right? First of all, you should be able to kind of guess what they do. Fender, defender, doodle, it's kind of like mushroom. And it kind of rhymes with everything else that we have going on with the actions on die roll 6, so that's nice. The fender doodle is the thing that locks your crop in the market, right? And I'm not going to go into detail, we already have a video on that, but now you finally see what it's supposed to look like. So there's a hyphal, right? And then here's what a primordia looks like. It's going to be laid down flat. Now, bearing that in mind, it also means that the base of this thing, the base can't be round because it just rolls away. That's one of those, design principles. If you get around engineers, it's like, yeah, on paper, it sure looked pretty good. And then we tried it in the real world, and it was like, yeah, we got a few problems here. So what's going to happen is this base, this cylindrical base, is going to become hexagonal. All right? Or maybe pentagonal. Maybe octagonal. I don't know. One of those agonals. Some polygon or agonal. I don't know what you want to call it. The math whizzes out there. Okay, so I think that takes care of everything. We got fender doodles. We've got rating figured out. We've got the reveal figured out. Yeah, one last thing I'm going to mention is simply that when you're dealing with weight cue trays, those are also up for grabs when it comes to revealing. And you say, how are you going to do that? Well, all you do is you pick an opponent, you're on die roll 6 and you want to do a reveal. All you do is you point it out and then you take the thing. And I'm sorry, you guess a position on the tray. So the positions are just in English, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? You could just use a number. And you say, okay, on position 2, I want you to reveal this to me. And here's the deal. If something can be revealed, it can also be protected, right? And so the extension of the marker tokens, the function of the marker tokens extends to the hidden weight cue tray crops, right? So that is fantastic. So let's say, here's a great example. I have 10 tokens. I'll just put it on something, put it in front of one of my weight cue tray crops, and that way it's fully protected, right? So if somebody says, hey, I want you to reveal the crop on position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's the one in this one, right? This is position 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6. Pretty simple. English, left to right, top to bottom. Okay. So if it's in position, what is that, 5? It's in position 5. That's the middle of the bottom row. And I happen to have protection there. You don't have to reveal it. Okay, you're safe. Does anything happen to the marker token? I would say no. No, the marker token did what it's supposed to do, but it's not being sacrificed in any way because you can't reveal it. And so nothing happens to the marker token or the crop. That's just a bad reveal. So, in both parties have to kind of be cognizant of what happens in that particular condition, right? You need to know going into it, it can be protected, but you also need to know going into it, if you have an item, it's vulnerable. It's vulnerable to the spy revealing, right? Okay, so I think that's going to take care of it. If you have any further questions, just put comments below. But this is pretty up to date, up to speed. Now I'm waiting on my first prototype. I'm not sure what the holdups are anymore, but I should have soon for you an incredibly beautiful board game made by dedicated people. So I'm grateful for their thought, input, advice, and assistance, especially because board games are a whole world unto themselves of minutia, details, processes, and difficulties. Trust me on that one. All right, so I'm going to be signing out. Thank you again for checking out the UPTA, and keep on playing.